and thank you. Your presence makes these stories worth sharing. We'd love to hear, which part of the world are you joining us from? Let us know. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. Homecoming. The oppressive July heat hit Broderick Brody Harlow like a physical force as he stepped off the military transport at Fort Benning. After 3 grueling tours with the Army Rangers in some of the most hostile territories in the Middle East, he was finally home. His duffel bag felt light compared to the weight of everything he'd seen and done over the past 4 years. Brody checked his phone for the first time since landing on U.S. soil. He expected a message from Melanie, his wife of 12 years, confirming she was on her way to pick him up. Instead, his stomach dropped as he read, "Don't bother coming. The locks are changed. The kids don't want you. It's over." He stood motionless in the sweltering Georgia heat, fellow soldiers streaming past him with their own homecoming celebrations waiting. The message burned into his retinas as his mind raced through possibilities. Their last video call 3 weeks ago had seemed normal. Tense, perhaps. Their conversations had grown increasingly strained over his final tour, but nothing to suggest this. Brody's thumbs hovered over his phone screen. A dozen angry responses flashed through his mind. Instead, he typed just 2 words. "As you wish." Anyone who knew Brody well would recognize the quiet danger in those words. During his time as a ranger, he'd become known for his calculated precision. When chaos erupted and other men shouted or panicked, Brody grew unervingly calm. "As you wish," was what he said before executing the most devastating operations with surgical precision. He made a single call. Leona Fisk speaking. The voice was crisp, professional. "It's Brody Harlow. I need your services immediately. I thought you weren't back until next week. Plans changed. Can you meet today?" "For you?" "Absolutely. My office, 2 hours." Brody hailed a cab, directing it not to the suburban home where his wife and children, Trevor, 16, and Amelia, 14, supposedly no longer wanted him, but to the downtown Atlanta office of one of the most feared divorce attorneys in the state. As the cab pulled away, he allowed himself one moment of raw emotion, squeezing his eyes shut as the betrayal washed over him. Then, like he'd done countless times in combat, he compartmentalized. This was now a mission, and Broderick Harlow never failed a mission. Chapter 2. Opening Moves. Leona Fisk's office spoke of both success and intimidation, all gleaming surfaces and sharp edges. The attorney herself matched her surroundings. Immaculately dressed in a tailored suit, her platinum blonde hair pulled into a severe bun, eyes that calculated your worth as soon as you entered. "So," she said, leaning back in her chair after Brody explained the situation. "She waited until you were literally on U.S. soil to tell you not to come home. That's cold, even by my standards. I need to know what I'm dealing with," Brody said. "And then I need options." Leona's smile was all predator. "What exactly did you mean when you texted 'as you wish'?" "It meant I'm going to respect her wishes to end our marriage. But on my terms." "Good. The weak ones want to salvage what can't be fixed. You're not here to win her back." "No," Brody confirmed. "I'm here to win." For the next hour, they constructed the first phase of what Leona called the nuclear option. By the time he left her office, Brody had signed paperwork that put in motion a series of financial and legal maneuvers that would be executed at precisely 9 a.m. the following morning. After securing a hotel room, Brody made his second strategic call to his oldest friend, Wyatt Dennison. They'd grown up together in rural Pennsylvania, enlisted together, though Wyatt had left the military 5 years ago. "I need surveillance on my house," Brody explained after catching Wyatt up on the situation. "Need to know who's coming and going." "You think there's someone else?" Wyatt stated rather than asked. "I need confirmation and details." "I'm on it." "And Brody?" "I'm sorry, brother." By nightfall, his phone began vibrating incessantly. "Melanie." He let it go to voicemail. Then came the texts. "What did you do? Answer your damn phone. You can't just disappear like this." At exactly 10:37 p.m., Wyatt sent a series of photos to Brody's phone. They showed a midnight blue Audi parked in his driveway, a tall man with expensively cut hair exiting the vehicle and being enthusiastically greeted by Melanie at the door. The final photo showed them embracing in the doorway, not the greeting of new lovers, but the comfortable intimacy of an established relationship. "His name is Preston Hayes," Wyatt's message read. "Real estate developer. Been in your house 6 times in the past 2 weeks. Kids seem familiar with him. Brody set his phone down carefully. The pieces were falling into place. He slept soundly that night, the deep sleep of a man with clarity of purpose. At 9:17 a.m. the next morning, his phone erupted again. This time, it wasn't Melanie calling, but her lawyer, a man named Rutherford whose voice climbed several octaves as he ranted. You have no legal rights to do that with her trust fund. 19 missed calls and you pull this? This is extortion. You can't possibly. Brody ended the call and turned to the window, allowing himself a small, cold smile. Phase 1 complete. Chapter 3, The Soldier's Shadow. Brody's journey from Pennsylvania farm boy to elite Army Ranger was paved with exceptional discipline and natural tactical brilliance. The youngest of 4 brothers raised by a widowed father, he'd learned early that survival required strategy. While his brothers relied on brute strength, Brody developed patience and precision. He met Melanie Stanford during his first leave after Ranger School. She was attending law school at Georgetown, brilliant, ambitious, from a wealthy New England family. Their attraction was immediate and consuming. Within 6 months, they were married, her family grudgingly accepting the union despite their reservations about her choice of a military man. When Trevor was born, Brody was stateside, working as a tactical instructor. Those were good years. Melanie built her law career while Brody moved up the Ranger ranks. After Amelia's birth, the deployments became longer, more dangerous. Each time Brody returned, the distance between them had grown. During his second tour, Melanie's father died, leaving her a substantial trust fund with Byzantine conditions, one being that her spouse couldn't access it without her express permission. Another specified that if she divorced, the funds would be held in trust until she remarried or turned 55. What Melanie didn't know was that Brody had spent years studying financial law and structures, a hobby stemming from his tactical mind's obsession with understanding systems. He'd found a loophole in her trust that even her father's expensive lawyers had missed. It involved temporary reassignment of management rights during periods of domicile abandonment by either spouse. By sending that text while he was returning from deployment, she'd inadvertently triggered the clause. Brody hadn't touched a penny of her money, but he'd legally frozen the entire trust, preventing any withdrawals or transfers. Now, as he sat in Leona's office for their follow-up meeting, the attorney slid a folder across her desk. You were right, she said. Preston Hayes isn't just your wife's lover. They've known each other since before your marriage. He was her ex-boyfriend from law school. Brody nodded, unsurprised. The timing. Based on credit card records, hotel charges, and restaurant receipts, they reconnected approximately 18 months ago, shortly after you left for your last tour. 18 months. While he was clearing buildings and watching friends die, Melanie was rebuilding her life with someone else, someone who'd been waiting in the wings. And my children? Brody asked, his voice betraying emotion for the first time. Leona's expression softened marginally. The Preston guy has been playing daddy. Weekend trips, expensive gifts. Your son seems resistant. His social media suggests he's angry at both adults. Your daughter appears more accepting of the situation. Brody absorbed this, his jaw tightening. What about the house? Has she taken out any new mortgages or loans? No, but there's something interesting about the property next door to yours. It was purchased by one of Preston Hayes' shell companies 6 months ago. The timing suggests they might be planning to combine the properties. The pieces clicked together in Brody's mind. Not just an affair, a complete replacement. Hayes was literally moving in next door, preparing to absorb not just Brody's family, but his physical space as well. They're efficient, Brody remarked.